It's day 29 in our 31 in 31 series, a month of conversations with Proverbs 31 women. Today's guest, Sonya Kendall, is a woman whose faith and perseverance have carried her through one of life's greatest storms, the loss of her husband, Bo, who also served as a pastor. Sonya's story is one of heartbreak and hope, of finding strength in Christ when life changes without warning. After Bo's passing, she faced not only emotional and spiritual grief, but also the challenge of financial and personal uncertainty. Yet through her faith, her service at Christ Classical Academy, and her involvement in ministry, Sonya has discovered a renewed sense of purpose. In today's episode, we'll talk about the importance of faith through grief and what it means to be prepared for life's unexpected moments, and how God can transform pain into purpose. This is an episode for every woman, a conversation about courage, stewardship, preparedness, and trusting that even in loss, God still writes beautiful new chapters. Join me now as we hear Sonya's heartfelt story, words of wisdom she has to share for other women to avoid some of the challenges she faced. Pray for her now as we go into this conversation. Join me with Sonya. Sonya, it is so nice to meet you. I am so excited to get to share this few moments with you in this conversation. And when I learned about you and your story, your testimony, actually, I was so moved, but I was so grateful because I knew that it was absolutely God that had designed you for this episode, because your testimony actually happens to be about the very one topic that we had not covered yet in this series that I really felt God was saying we need to address this. There's people out there I want this message to get to, and I'm so grateful that it was you that he led me to. And so
thank you, Malia. It's so great to meet you also.
Yeah. So because I'm getting to know you as well as the audience is, tell us who Sonya is. Tell us what makes Sonya get up out of the bed every day.
Well, I am a widow since 2017, the first week of 2017. And I am the mother of 3 adult children. And I am grandmother to a 13-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 7-month-old.
Is that your grandmother name? Grandmother?
Grammy.
Grammy. Oh, how cute.
Grammy. And that provides for a very full life. So I don't get bored.
I don't imagine.
And I also work here at the school. Mm-hmm. And it's ministry. Yeah. It's a calling. It's not a job.
Right. So we're here at Christ Classical Academy.
Yes.
In your classroom, which is the library.
Yes.
And so it's full. It's just full of lots of signs of love happening here. As a matter of fact, we'll turn your sign around if you want to that says "Live life in full bloom." What's perfect?
It is my happy place. I told them when I was assigned to this area, this location, I said, oh, this is my happy place. And I've had classrooms and work areas in the years that I've been employed here in other locations on this campus. But thank the Lord for expansion. Mm-hmm. And every year we've grown and we are growing. And the dean said, how about you make this your area? You just consider this not only the library, but also your classroom. So I was able to just
merge it all
into one place, and that's wonderful.
Well, good.
It's good. Wonderful.
Good. You touched on a part of your story just a moment ago about being a widow.
Yes.
Tell us about your husband.
My marriage has just from the beginning been God steps and God ordained. I married my husband without ever having been on a date.
What? Okay, I have to know more about that.
I went to Toccoa Falls Bible College, and in the summer following my freshman year of college, I traveled with my mom and dad, and my dad was in evangelism and had a radio ministry. and I was born and reared in Alabama.
Okay.
So we were in Tennessee, and I was praying for revival services that my dad was conducting in a nearby county and town here in West Tennessee, and had a young lady in the youth group to mention to me that there had been such an anointed man to come, young man, to come and minister God's word, and had wonderful altar services, and the Spirit of God just moved mightily. And so when it was time for my dad to hold and conduct meetings there, I was in prayer for the youth group. I had gotten attached to several of the young ladies there, and I was praying for them because I knew I would only be there with Dad and Mom a short time. And so I was praying for them. And during the daytime, before the services convened in the evening, I was in the altar praying while my mom was downstairs in the evangelistic apartment preparing a meal.
Uh-huh.
And I had always said, I don't know if I'll ever get married. I'm just going to be doing whatever God ordains for me to do. And at that time, I was majoring in mass media.
Okay.
So I felt like that my career, and I was career minded at that point, would take me into a different strain of life.
Right.
But in prayer, I knew that I heard God's voice. When I was praying for the youth group and praying for the ministers that would come in and speak to these people, I was praying for this man that I'd never met. And I heard the Lord say, I'm going to put you with that ministry. And I was just bowled over, and just, how that strong leading of God, and you know that it is God. And yet at the same time, it's such a foreign concept that you're like, did I really hear from you, God? And so I went downstairs and prepared to eat dinner with my mom and dad before it was time for church. And I said to my Mom, you're never going to believe this, but I really believe the Lord showed me who I'm going to marry. And she said, oh, and who is that? And I said, well, it's kind of really crazy because I've never met him before. But I've been praying for this minister that's been coming through different places here in West Tennessee and ministering to local youth groups, and he's having a great impact. And I said, his name's Bo Kendall. And she just smiled. And she didn't say anything. She said, well, I didn't say anything because your dad and I had committed this to the Lord, but we met him last year while you were away. And I told your dad afterwards that we may have met Sonia's future husband, but we agreed that we would not ever say anything and that it would be all God. And so that the Lord did that work, and I never said anything to him, and I never had met him at that point. And it actually was several weeks later before I ever did meet him. And it was just prior to a church service, and was introduced, shook hands, went on my way, and back to, the state that I was residing in. And lo and behold, before that year was out, he came and spoke to my dad and told my dad that he really had been in prayer about who the Lord would have for him to be joined to, and that he felt like he had shown him that I was going to be his wife at some point. And my dad said, we've known that, son. We've known that for a long time.
Glad you finally listened.
So it was...
wow. How many years?
We were married before he passed 34 years, 4 months, and 6 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It would have been 42 now.
Yeah.
So it's been a journey. I never doubted it because of the way God brought us together.
Right. And it's such a testimony too to young folks that are marrying today, and gosh, just wait on God.
Yes.
Such a testimony.
Yes.
Just wait on God.
Yes.
And be evenly yoked.
Yes.
It's so important.
Absolutely.
It's so important.
Our personalities were so diverse.
Really?
Our interests, even our sense of humors, were really diverse. But our visions were so meshed. We 100% had the same vision, and that was God and His kingdom first. And I can remember praying just before we even married, and I said, God, if this is you, let the family that our coming together brings be a picture of what you can make a family to be. And that was not without trial or valleys, many in fact, but He walked with us and He was faithful to us. And Bo was he honored what the covenant with God was, and he honored what the covenant of marriage was. And I watched him be so faithful to God in the home and with our children and to the congregation that God had him to shepherd over, and to me. And so there was such not a perfect environment, because many are the afflictions of the righteous, the psalmist says, but the Lord delivereth them out of them all. But he had such authentic faith.
Wow.
And he had a past as a young man, before I ever met him, in extreme addiction and in alcoholism.
Him personally?
Okay. Yes. His teen years were very, very
wrought with
with so much addiction and so much pain. And so there were times when his personality, never cruel, but very very blunt, just a very blunt person. And it would take people aback. And I asked him about that at some time, at one point. I remember just a few years into the marriage, because we started out as youth group leaders. And he said, honey, I lived such a life of facades. He said, addicts and addiction is because you don't like who you really are. And you use that addiction to cope and to cover. And he said, when the Lord delivered me and when He came into my heart, He broke all that. And I knew that I would never have to be fake again. And that He deserved authenticity. He's an authentic God, and He calls and cries out for His servants to love Him and to serve Him with authenticity. And He said, that's not that I never make a mistake, or that I don't ever make a choice or a decision that I don't see later and say, oh, I could have done that better, or I wish I'd done it this way. But He said, just own it. Because if you're authentic, God can lead you, and He will lead you.
He will lead you.
And so I watched that life, and that's the life he lived. And so he was just blunt. He was a very blunt person.
And so in that authenticity, he was a firm believer, in a certain type of marriage, which was where the man, I think I understand from you, you've shared with me, that the man is the chief of the household.
Yes.
And you had your role as the wife.
Right.
He had his role as the husband in the union. You were one.
Yes.
You were one. There was no division necessarily, and one not beneath the other at all. But let's move forward now to the part of the story that you've shared with me when Bo passed.
Okay.
And
yes,
the life you were suddenly thrust into.
Yes. So there were times throughout the marriage that he would ask me, what do you think? What's your counsel? What do you think about this? And then I knew he would very seriously weigh what I was saying. However, he did not always agree with what my counsel was. And he knew that I was not going to try to hold that counsel as a manipulative tool. And that he was going to have to, be responsible before God as the leader of the family and the priest of the home, and that he would have to have God's help. And so he he knew and he explained, hey, this is a very awesome responsibility. It's a very heavy responsibility, and I'm not taking any of these decisions or choices lightly. He took God's word very literally, and so he looked at me as his helpmate. I felt like I was in full agreement with that. He became the pastor in 1989 of a very small congregation. And he worked supplemental jobs.
He's bivocational pastor.
Yes. Yeah. For us to be able to rear our children. Right. For many years, I homeschooled. I had one child born, well, in fact, almost all of those years I homeschooled. But I had one child born with some health issues, some pretty serious health issues. And we felt like that with all the medical attention and all the things that had to happen for him to live a quality life, that I would best be able to invest in the family and in the church by homeschooling. I, however, did not keep them secluded. I actually helped form a cooperative. And so from the time that our oldest child was 5, I did incorporate other children and their parents, and we met together. It was a wonderful growing up experience for them. I also knew that it was important for them to learn to listen to other adults who would speak into their life and learn to be under authority of other adults. And I felt like that was just the healthiest way, and the socialization that they needed, a cooperative and part of a homeschool fellowship group. It was wonderful. Yeah. But I was not a wage earner. So I did not provide for myself nor, help monetarily in our income, other than what I saved, by
expenses.
Yes. And so I was an in the home and on the scene mom, cheerleader for all the kids, and helping them with whatever interest they had. Pastor's wife, Sunday school teacher, church janitor.
All these identities.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was a very full life.
Yeah.
And it was very fulfilling and very rewarding. And I would have to say that if there had been a key verse that each one of us tried to abide by with our diverse wirings and giftings, it would be Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you.
Okay.
And so we we just lived a frugal life. And by looking at Proverbs chapter 31, I mean, that was a frugal woman. And I just admired, and her abilities. And some of those abilities I tried to emulate, and others I could not.
Right.
I had grown up in a different era.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
in all of that, you had all of your hats you were wearing. Bo was paying the bills.
He was. Yes.
Bo was taking care of everything you were not.
That's exactly right.
And then Bo goes to be with Jesus.
And it was very, very quick. It was on December the 3rd, around between 11 and midnight. He said, honey, I'm going to need you to take me down to the emergency room.
Oh, wow.
So our daughter is a nurse. The oldest child is a nurse. And so we went to the emergency room. I gave her a phone call, and she met us, and we went to the emergency room. And we stayed there through the night with them doing tests. And about 6 o'clock the next morning, one of the emergency room doctors that my daughter loves very much, such a precious lady, came in, and she just was weeping. And she reached over and she patted him on the knee, and she said, baby, I wish I had some good news. She said, but it's not looking good for you. That was on December the 4th. So They sent him home after a few days with some options to pray about and to think about. He decided against chemotherapy because they had told him that the extent of the malignancy in his body would require such an amount and to such an extent that, not guaranteed, but there was a possibility that he could get what they call chemo brain, and he might get to the place where he would not recognize, he wouldn't be able to have his cognizance.
Right, no quality of life.
And he said to me, I don't want to do that. At that point, our oldest grandchild was 4. And he said, I want to be able to have Christmas with her. He did that, and he spent the last 2 weeks of his life on a hospital bed in our living room. Then on January the 4th, he had been diagnosed on December the 4th, on January the 4th, and he left that hospital with hospice. He went home to be with Jesus. And at that point, you know, I had spoken to him on several occasions about, honey, you know, we might need to see about, and this was before his illness.
Right.
We might need to, you know, we're not getting any younger. We might need to see about upping some life insurance or making sure that, you know. And he said, I've already taken care of all that. So I didn't think anything about it. I just thought, okay.
Yeah, when it happens, it happens.
He loves God. He loves us. He was a realist. So I didn't really contemplate that it would be. In this time frame, he encouraged me to go back and finish my degree. So in 2010, I went and enrolled to finish my degree at Liberty. He just encouraged me in the whole way through. So my previous college hours transferred, and we were able to finish that degree. And
for you,
he said, I just feel like you're going to need it. And I thought, well, I'm already full-time as a pastor's wife and a mom and a grandmother.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, whatever tools God wants to give us to invest in his kingdom, I don't think we should ever quit growing.
Right.
He's always got things to add to us.
Right.
And so I was wide open for that. And so I never realized how beneficial that advice would be. Because in 2013, I did earn my degree, and I could see that he was weakening some physically, but at that point in our life, we were so busy. So I didn't go out and seek outside employment. I was just saying, Jesus, where do you want to use this? And so then when he passed away, oh my goodness, the reality was, wow. He had signed a policy, like so many do, I think, with his bank account at the bank, and we had a joint account, but I didn't think to follow up and see what that was, you know.
And he was taking care.
He was taking care
of the administration
of the family.
Of the house.
Yes,
you were taking care of
the house and the children,
and he was taking care of the administration. Of the house. Yeah.
And so I didn't realize. So when we went to the funeral home to make the arrangements, and you know, they began to call about the policy, and they said, oh no, that was accidental. There is no policy on him. And so I just, of course I was in shock anyway, because from 1 month and Christmas and family birthdays and all this is happening in this month, and you're screaming inside for normalcy. And you're going back and forth to the hospital and back and forth to doctors. And, you know, that was my total focus, was...
You were not worried about where the meal was going to come from after he passed away.
Exactly. It was, what can I do? As, oh my goodness, this is going to be a huge debt, and we don't have a cushion. And so he had pastored that church for 27 plus years. And so the treasurer spoke up and said, well, we will meet and we will take care of this. And so the funeral home was so honorable and so wonderful, because he had been the clergy in so many funeral services
for them.
Yes, and they were in shock that it was him and not one of his church members or something that he had like always would come in to help with that. And so they were just, oh my goodness, we can't believe this is him.
Right.
And so they said, okay, in 2 weeks, we'll extend this thing for 2 weeks because we know he is faithful and honorable. And so the church and what little bit was put back went toward that. And it was completely paid in full.
Yeah.
In less than 2 weeks.
Wow.
So then we're at ground zero again.
Right. So you've gotten him buried.
Yes.
You've gotten all of
yes.
that. Everybody's gone home. The casserole dishes are washed, and
yes.
now it's you.
Yes.
With
yes.
no income.
Right.
The cushion that was saved up was gone to help finish
yes.
paying for the funeral.
Yes.
A degree that you
yes.
had earned, thank God.
Yes.
An identity as a pastor's wife
yes.
that you now no longer had because there was no longer a pastor.
That's right.
And where did Sonya go from there?
Well, God is so faithful. I did not know this, but in November of 2016, exactly 1 month to the day before his diagnosis, he had preached the last service of a missionary conference that our church hosted. And we had done that before. And this year he had volunteered in this missions group that our church would host it. And on that day, the visiting missionary speaker who was coming in got lost. So the missions director came to him and said, I need you to step up. So I'm in the back in the fellowship hall with the women getting a meal prepared for this closing of this missionary conference. And he preaches this message. And, I could tell that the church was just being extremely blessed. But I'm in the back being a Martha. And I didn't hear it. And at the end of the service, he went to that director and he said, I need you to go back to your home state. And he knew that this man had been praying and looking for the next chapter for himself. He had sold his home in this home state and he was going to relocate, but he was praying. And he had another state in mind that he felt like might be the one that God was sending him to. But my husband spoke to him at the back after that service and he said to him, I need you to go home, get your stuff, and come up here and get you a house. Get planted because Sonya's going to need you, but this church is going to need you. That was on November the 4th. December the 4th, he was diagnosed.
January the 4th, he was with Jesus.
January the 4th, he went to heaven.
So now all these years, you have adjusted, adapted. You've gone back to work using that degree that you earned.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
You worked your way through the financial hardships that were to come immediately after, those first couple of years, trying to get your footing back. God sent blessing after blessing after blessing to see to it that you were cared for, just as I'm sure Bo had prayed that he would. I would like for you to talk directly to that woman who is running the household. She's running everything else and letting her husband take care of the business of the household. What word do you have for that woman?
Be aware. Be alert. Don't just live in hope so in that regard. But make sure that you have all of the documentation that you need to. Make sure that you know where the investments are. Make sure that you're checking for the clauses in insurance policies. His insurance policy was valid. It just wasn't the right policy for him. It's disastrous. It is disastrous. It was so bad that for a while, and I so thank God for the family that God has given me, because my adult children, although they were just crushed, they came alongside me, and especially the daughter, she bought me this little portfolio book, and she said, now Mom, right now it's going to be hard for you to know which foot to put in front of the other. We're going to get through this. God's going to be faithful to us. And he has.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he has. There were times that I did not know how. I just knew, I didn't know the how. I just knew the who.
Oh, that's beautiful, Sonya.
I didn't know the how, but I knew the who.
Yeah.
And my pain, my personal pain and trauma was so much that I remember going out in my backyard and sitting down in the swing, and my kids tried to stay close, and it was so precious. But there were times when I didn't want my pain to spill over on them. Right. It already does. You can't help that.
Right.
But I didn't want to make it worse. Mm-hmm. And so I remember going out, I'd fix dinner, and I'd set the table, and I said, I'm going to go outside for a few minutes and just get a breath of air, sit in the swing, and the sun's going down, and I'll be back in to eat in just a little bit. But I was in one of those crises moments. I just needed some time to just vent and process so that my pain would not debilitate them any further.
Right.
So I can remember going out and sitting in the swing, and it was one of those late January or early February, still cold. Mm-hmm. The trees are bare. The grass is brown. There's nothing blooming.
Everything's dead.
It felt dead. Yeah. And I said to the Lord, just from my heart, I said, Lord, I feel deader sitting in this swing than he is out there under that ground, because I know he's with you, but I don't know which way to turn or what to do. Mm-hmm. But I know that you can help me, because I loved you before I loved him. And you were faithful to hear me and to save me, and you brought Bo and I together. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I married who I was supposed to marry. And I used to tell him in his discouraged moments, there were times when he would get discouraged and he would second guess, as we all do.
Right.
And I would say, honey, you can't doubt that God worked a miracle and brought us together, and I would marry you again 400 times. And I would tell him, you're my Mr. Wonderful. And I'm so glad I married you. I'm so glad Jesus brought us together. Yeah. And he's not going to leave us nor forsake us. We may not know the how, but we can know the who.
The who. Mm-hmm.
And Sister Martha Tennyson ministered that. Yes. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she's one of my favorite people. I mean, she's one of those. My administrator here at CCA says we all have north relationships and we have south relationships. And Martha Tennyson is definitely one of my north relationships.
Right.
And so I just remember sitting there and saying, God, I'm more dead sitting right here in this swing than he is, because he's in your presence and he knows, and then one of his friends that had known him before he was born again, who knew about his addictions and knew the life and knew what a drastic deliverance and a miracle God had performed in him when he radically converted Bo. Right. He knew the old Bo and he knew the new Bo. And they actually had walked as friends in ministry. And he pastors in another county. But he and his wife had gone out to dinner that night. And he pulled up in our driveway just to check on me. And he didn't go in the house. He must have seen me in the swing. And he walked around there. And I said, I sure need somebody to pray for me.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell my kids how badly I need somebody to pray for me. And I said, I need you to pray this way. I am ashes, but God's promised he can bring beauty from ashes. He can raise me up. He can restore me. And I don't know how in the world he's going to do it, but he's going to help me.
Mm-hmm. And he has. And look at you today.
And there's the journey.
Look at you today.
He said, the hand of the diligent shall bear rule.
And here you are today, pouring into little lives with a degree that your husband encouraged you to go back into later in life with really no purpose for it at the time to get it. And if that is not testimony, that your today is not always about today.
That's right.
It is about way many tomorrows that are still to come.
Yes.
And that you cannot live your todays thinking that that's all there is
That's
for
right.
you.
Oh, that is so right.
You can't.
That's right. And so because I had loved Jesus I had been born again at 14 years old. And because I had loved Jesus before I had loved Bo, I knew that God could keep me.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how he was going to do
Right.
it. Some wise person had told me this, that you will have widow's brain.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. And that you don't need to make any life-changing decisions for at least a year following a death of a spouse. There were so many things I didn't know how to do.
Right.
I never took a car for servicing. I never had to handle any malfunction of a car. That was
part of what he took care of.
That's all that he did that. And I never did that. So I didn't know how to go about it. I didn't know, other than just hearing him, who do you see? And so there were a few people that I reached out to and said, hey, who would you recommend if I'm hearing this noise in my car?
Right.
Who should I,
Oh my goodness, pleasure.
And I just had to
figure it out.
I did. I had to take a deep breath and just step out there like a big girl.
There's just a T-shirt that I've got to buy myself one. I've seen it 2 or 3 times, and it just says, "I can't, but I know a guy."
Yes,
and that's so true. That is so true.
It is absolutely
Sonya,
true.
we're so blessed that you picked up the pieces of a terrible story, and that you were humble enough to say to God that you felt dead.
Yes,
you felt deader than he was, and that you knew you were ashes, and that you were mindful every time he put something in front of you that it was from him, and you have given him all the glory for it. And, I'm so sorry that you had to walk through that season, but I personally believe that your season was for God's glory, because your story is going to help some other woman not have to walk through that season by understanding that financial preparedness, even in a marriage, doesn't mean you're trying to be independent of the marriage. You can be a respecter of your husband. You can be a respecter of him as the head of the household and the leader and the administrator, so to speak. But that's a two-way street. He's got to also be a respecter of you and keeping you informed. And it's okay to say to your husband, I need to know the drawer that the life insurance policies are in, and I want to read them. And and I need to see the mortgage, and I need to see the deed. It's okay to ask for those things, just because he should want you to know where those things are. And I'm sure that Bo just never thought he was going to go so early.
I think it was also, Malia, an oversight on his part, because he had so much joy the day that we went and closed on our home. And I knew my name was there. I knew it. I mean, we signed everything. But when it came to transferring with that mortgage company, it may have just been a technicality.
Technical things,
And he put his name because he felt like I'll be the one to pay for it.
But these technical things can make or break somebody.
Oh, it did. Outside, without God, but God. Yes.
So, great message and a great word of encouragement from your story that we all need to learn to know where everything is, know what we've got, and be prepared.
Yes.
And that's a two-way street.
Absolutely.
There are so many men, bless their hearts, that the women are taking care of all the administrative things in the house.
That's right.
And the same situation could happen as you and Bo in the reverse.
Exactly.
When she passes away, that poor man may not know where the light bill is.
That's right.
Or where you go to pay it, And so
that's right.
Just be partners in your marriage.
Yes.
And take care of one another and be prepared for when one of you's not there anymore.
That's right.
And
That's right.
just so key.
It is.
Such a beautiful story. You're such a beautiful person, such a beautiful soul.
Thank you.
So
Thank
we
you.
always end every episode of the Authentically You podcast, especially this series, with asking our guests to share a scripture, maybe, that is of personal value to you or has meaning to you. Do you have, you've shared a couple, but do you have one that you just kind of cling to?
John chapter 17 and verse 4 is what I call my life verse. And it's Jesus speaking to the Father, and he said, I have glorified thee on the earth. I have finished the work thou gavest me to do. And that's my goal point. No matter how long or how short my journey is, when I stand before him, I want to be able to look him in the face and say, I have glorified thee on the earth, and I have finished the work thou gavest me to do. That's my life's verse.
Love it.
St. John 17 and 4.
Love it. Thank you so much for sitting down with me today. I appreciate your story so much.
Oh, thank you for asking me.
Pray that God will continue to bless you as you bless so many others.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining in today for this episode of the 31 in 31 series, a month of conversations with Proverbs 31 women here at the Authentically You Network podcast. We look forward to yet another great episode tomorrow and hope that you will join us to be inspired, encouraged, and have your faith strengthened. Have a great day and be blessed.